And welcome back to the 3 Up, 3 Down podcast. We're your host, Brian Hunter and Q Meyer, and we have our special guest, Mr. Commissioner Cameron Smith.
Oh yeah.
I'm back.
We're here for a fantastic special edition. We're going to be trying coming live now, not live, but we're going to be trying dropping episodes every Tuesday from here on out to the end of the season. Maybe we'll take a week off when the league takes a week off, but we're going to do our best to bring that content to you guys.
No days off, baby.
No days off.
No.
But with that said, let's get into the top 15.
Alrighty, I'm here with the Commissioner Cam Smith, and we're gonna start with our top 15.
All right, Q. Gotta stop you already because before we get into the top 15, little breakdown. Let's run into some honorable mentions because they're not gonna be shown on this list, but I feel like these guys need the recognition because these are guys that got votes, but not enough to crack that top 15 list. So we'll just give them a little shout out here. Q yourself was on that list.
Let's go.
Blake Spencer, Nick Bone, Pat Ballman, who was a rookie last year, Jay Rich, Ethan Weiner, James Dutton, Justin Hall, and Jason Worsenholm. Now, of all of those players, it's quite a list.
Yeah.
For people to get votes. That just shows you the range. Obviously, these lists, everybody sends me their list. I compile them all and take the averages and give them a
collusion.
this guy over here. I do no such thing. I can promise you that.
Yeah, don't mind the engineer in the corner over there.
Completely fair. But everybody gets like a score, and that's how they get the ranking system done. But of all these guys, only one of them were on the top 15 last year that is no longer on it. That's Jason Worsenholm. He dropped 8 spots, which I thought was crazy because Jason actually had a really solid season. Not only did he fall 8 spots, but he was an all-star last year. So a little bit shocking.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts on those kind of honorable mentions?
I mean, I think I get a vote. I think that's pretty nice. I don't think I had any votes last year. But I think honestly Jason's the big one. I mean, when your team wins 3 games, you shouldn't expect to be on the top 15 list. But being an all-star last year, he was an all-star this year, wasn't he?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like this past year, he was
an all-star, had a good year, but I just think, a lot of people, they do it off the eye test. Yeah. I don't think a lot of people go into the stats like some of us do. And honestly, from where he was at on the honorable mentions, I saw on your tablet he was 16, so just right under.
Yeah, he was the last one on the list. I just missed. And it was pretty close. I mean, a couple guys that right there at the end. And throughout this whole list, I'm going to give you guys my top 15 as we go along. I'm going to kind of tell you where these guys fit in on my list. So no graphic, so no one's yelling at me because that will happen. I'm sure I'll still get some flack. But yeah. I'll be honest with you guys and tell you where I have everyone. I actually had Jason 13 on my list. Like that hitting season that he had last year, especially on that team, I thought was very impressive. So the hats off to Jason, but unfortunately, I just couldn't crack this top 15 list, which was very hard to construct. I had a lot of people asking, like, talking to me about it, like, man, this is actually really hard to come up with 15 guys. Like, I don't know where to rank certain people. It gets tough because you have to factor in hitting, you have to factor in pitching. Some guys don't do one or the other, so you have to factor in both. It gets tough. So,
yeah. Anything else? No more.
Let's jump into the top 15.
Love it. Alrighty. So, in the number 15 spot, we have a rookie, Spencer Foss, with the MO WIFF Thunderbirds. He was not ranked last year.
Crying over here clapping.
He's a rookie. Cam, what are your insights to this?
I love this. Spencer Foss, he didn't win Rookie of the Year, but had a phenomenal rookie season. He came on very second half of the season, was one of the top pitchers in the league, and I believe he started the Thunderbirds game 1 and 3 in the playoffs, and that was against the Archers. And I think he barely only lost game 3. I think on a walk.
It was a 1-0 loss.
1-0 game, and it was on a couple walks. But I think Spencer Foss developed into a phenomenal player. Showed a couple signs that he could do it with his bat as well. I know there was a game he pitched where he threw the whole game and got the shutout and then hit the home run to win the game. So bright young future for the Thunderbirds. Star pitcher, I guess you could say, going forward. But I love that he fits in here at 15. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, I played with him at NWLA last year. You know, he's coming from where he started, not throwing a wiffle ball at our spring training event we had, to best young pitcher in the league. I mean, he was the ace of the squad at NWLA. I mean, some would say he's the ace of the squad now.
Yeah.
I mean, he's got one of the craziest clean ball sliders. I think it's more of a slurve than a slider.
That's what I call it.
It cuts like a curveball, but it's technically supposed to be a slider. I say it all the time on the broadcast, and I say it every time we talk about him. He's the type of guy that you just can't predict him. He doesn't have any tell. He doesn't show one thing.
He does very good with a bucket of balls, a variety of different pitches. And sorry to cut you off.
No, you're good.
I do want to say I had him 12th on my list. Actually, I thought I'm very high on Spencer Foss. I think some people know. We'll leave that as a hint for a couple of weeks down the road here.
Yeah. But with that, I say we get to number 14, another rookie, pitching phenom, one of the best pitchers in the nation, Connor Jaso, part of the Mo Wiff Mojo. Obviously, rookie, not ranked last year.
Yep.
Only played 3 games. So, what is your insight to this?
So I'll say this is probably the biggest. This is probably one of the biggest questions I got during this whole list. Is guys like Connor Jaso, who only played in a couple of games last year, is where do we rank them? Are we ranking them? And this is a lot. Like, some people had Connor Jaso very high. Some people had him not on the list. I didn't have him on my list.
I didn't have him on my list.
You know, to me, obviously Connor Jaso is, you can put him easily in the top 5 if he's here for a full season, which sounds like he may this year. And then next year, you know, he could be higher on this list.
Right.
But I take into account team value. And if you're only providing 3 games for your team, that value doesn't really hit as a guy that's here every single week contributing. Like, you know, like Spencer Foss did. He was there every single week, had a ton of starts. But, yeah, if Connor Jaso is here for a full season, he is going to skyrocket. I know his highest ranking was 1, and I think he had 2 different number 1 rankings, but had quite a few that weren't on those lists, and I believe that is strictly because of his availability last year.
And let's not forget, with Sam's strength of schedule pitching, Connor was
Yep, I was just about to get to that.
Captains, we went through, and I mean, he was our number 1. Sorry to take that from you.
You know what?
He
Yeah,
was the number 1 on that.
My co-host Brian Hunter is the engineer right now for this part of the list coming in. But yeah, I'll jump off a little bit of that. I mean, he was the number 1 ranked pitcher. There was only one person that didn't rank him number 1, and I believe that was Nick Bone, rated him at number 4. But
I shot at Nick Bone.
no disrespect to Nick Bone. Listen, hey, you know, Nick Bone faced him in league.
Hey, maybe he took a availability, you know.
And hey, he ranked Jackson number 1. So, I mean, both 2 disgusting pitchers, but honestly, kind of the real surprise in my opinion. I'm not going to give much because he's on my team, and I don't want to show like I have bias or anything. So with that, we'll jump into number 13. With number 13, we have Tony Cochran, part of the Archers, dropped 8 spots.
Yeah, this was the biggest drop. Obviously, including Jason, he also dropped 8, but you know he's off that list, so he doesn't really count on the top 15 list. But so out of people on the list, drops 8 spots. The crazy thing about this was Tony actually did not get ranked in a few. I think maybe only 1, maybe 2 different lists. So his lowest ranking was not ranked. His highest ranking was 5th, and that's crazy. Like, I know Tony Cochran did not have this season last year that he had the year prior. I know he struggled, especially hitting early on in the season, but look what Tony did in the second half of last year, where he carried that Archers pitching staff. He was lights out almost every night, and even gave them a chance in every game that he pitched. He started game 1 of the championship series.
Only gave up that 1 run.
I mean, yeah, the home run against Jackson. I mean,
this close from being caught. Too.
Yeah, so I mean, like Tony really did carry a lot of weight on that team. his highest ranking, like I said, was 5th. I had him 7th. I think Tony is a great player. He even hit a lot at the end of last year, but that's a fun thing about this list is a lot of people have different opinions, and that's all this is our opinions of what this is. But what did you think about Tony? I know you faced him. You're the last one of the last ones to face him.
Yeah, I mean I agree with you 100%. He came on in the second half of the year, carried the Archers pitching staff all the way to the championship. But I just think from again the eye test, not the stats. He is a swing happy person. I mean, you throw a little high riser, he's going to go out and try and get it. A lot of questionable swings. He lost a couple games this year. That was a big point early in the season. Lost his first regular season game. But definitely another surprise for me. I didn't have him ranked on my list, in my personal list, but I do think that he's an excellent player. I mean, there's not much to say. Kind of a surprise for me that he dropped this far in terms of the league, but hey, chip on his shoulder for good old Tony.
I could see Tony having a bounce back season next year.
Oh, definitely.
I think he'll be higher when we do this list again next year.
Yep. But moving on to number 12, one I like, Colin Wilkerson of the Purge, not ranked last year as a part of the Empire and the Mojo, but now this year with his first season with the Purge, ranked at number 12.
Yeah, 12, good spot for Colin Wilkerson. I think we said this a lot last year, is that he was going to be on this list.
He was an honorable mention last year.
He was, and we said, I know when I think we did the podcast, or maybe we just talked about it, we said, who's one guy that's not on the list last year that's going to be on the list this year, and it was Colin, and here he is at number 12. So big jump up for him. He had a phenomenal season, top 3 in side wiffle. So, and he really improved his hitting, especially when you look at the playoffs last year. I felt like something changed where he was a more confident hitter. If he can carry that into next year, like, he's just going to keep climbing this list. He did get his highest ranked as 7th this year. His lowest ranked was 15th, so kind of right in the middle there. Not bad. I had him 10th on my list. I thought, after the season he had a really, really good season. His pitching has been lights out. I mean, he is like the, 1A, 1B starter on that team. And, I think, the more they play, the better they're going to get, him and Caleb. And, I see him kind of, it's hard to say, like, I keep saying this already with 2 guys, but I feel like they're going to keep, or I guess really all 4 of these guys are going to keep climbing this list. Somebody's going to have to move down eventually, but all these guys have such good potential. I could see easily jumping up.
Yeah. I mean, honestly, me and you called that game 3 in the semifinals. One of the most fun games I think I've ever been a part of that I haven't played in.
It was.
Honest to God, I thought that home run that he hit sent him to the championship. I thought Caleb was going to lock it down, but obviously we know how all that went in the end. But all this year, I thought Colin was the ace of the squad. I think he was the best pitcher. I think Caleb had a down year. No shot to Caleb. Caleb's my guy. Love him to death.
Well, Colin finished top 3 in side wiffle, so like
and he was 4th in strikeouts, I think, and he just had a phenomenal season. I had him at 8th personally. I think 12 is a fair ranking from being unranked last year to 12. But with that, we're gonna move on to number 11. Number 11, another one of my teammates from the Mojo, Gus Skibby. I think he was the same last year as he was this year.
I think so.
I think he's 11 again this year.
He was the same. Yes. He was exactly the same, 11th last year. His highest ranking, number 1. His lowest ranking, not on the list. And there was quite a few of those. Again, same situation kind of as Jaso, is just not there enough for some people to take that into accountability of like, hey, like, obviously if Gus is here every week, he's probably a top 5 player. Obviously he got a number 1 vote. I wonder who that could have been from. Not going to mention any names, but it wasn't me. I actually did not have Gus on my list.
I think I had him at 11.
There you go. See, and I mean, his talent level is
off the charts.
It's crazy. We saw what he did in the championship series on both sides of the ball. He, had the big home run and a big pitching win. Gus can do it all. Gus is a phenomenal wiffle ball player. He's been one of the best wiffle ball players in the country for a long time, and him living in Kansas City is the only reason that he is number 11 on this list.
Yeah. again, one of my teammates. I'm not going to give a lot of 2 cents because of the bias thing, but I mean, I'll just say this. I think it's fair. 11. Obviously, he only played 5 games, but in the 5 games, he dominated. In the playoffs, against your Bombers, hopping out of the car. Obviously, went up against Johnny, who was a rookie, but coming straight from work as a teacher, hopping straight out of the car and going right to the mound and winning that game. I think obviously was a big push on why we ended up winning the next game. Obviously, Sam's home run. Went up 3-1, but we don't win the second game. We get swept.
Yeah.
And obviously in championship series, again, coming straight out of the car, warming up a little bit and going. I think Gus is phenomenal. I love being a part of the Mojo, the Skibby brothers.
Yeah.
My team.
All-time vibes guy too. He is a very good teammate to have. And like I said, you look at this list so far, 2 Mojo players, from 15 to 11 is pretty good. But overall, what do you think about these first 5 players?
I mean, I like it so far. I think a couple rookies, a surprise in Tony Cochran. I like where Colin's at. I like where Gus is at. It's pretty solid so far, and I'm excited to see what we have next.
Yeah, it's gonna be fun. Let's get ready to get into the top 10.
All right, welcome back to our second segment where we're going to going over our top 15 now. We're going to go over what was this, 10 through 6 here?
10 through 6.
10 through 6. Got to love it. All right, let's get into it. Number 10, Mr. Rory Rank. Glad to see Rory on the list in the top 10. Think it's definitely something that's totally deserved. The way that he came back from injury last year and really kind of put that team on his back in some spots.
His hitting did, for sure. And, they really needed him at his pitching last year as well, and that came back into fruition. So good to see him bounce back from the injury, get back on the mound, and, saved Jordan's arm a lot early in the season. And for a while, he was dealing out there on the mound. You take a couple of starts away, and Rory had a very good pitching season. But his hitting was phenomenal.
Yeah.
Take a couple games against Caleb are the ones that pop out when not a lot of people can do that to Caleb. And Rory
went up there and got him.
Rory was just
skied them balls. I remember just sitting out there like, damn.
That just shows you how good of a hitter that Rory is. Still one of my favorite videos that we've ever had in the league, just because Ethan shot that home run so well. Like the angle that he got that home run off was awesome. So, Rory comes in here at number 10. 10 is better than 13. Right where, that's where he was last year. So up 3 spots. His highest ranking was 5th, and actually was not ranked on a list.
Really?
Which was surprising to me.
Tom. No, I'm kidding. I'm just kidding.
I don't know where he.
Sorry, Tom.
I don't know who it was. I had him 8th on my list. I just think his hitting that he put on last year was he was a hard out.
Oh yeah.
Anytime I face him, he's always been a hard out to get. And in any moment during that playoff run that the Archers had, it was you need a guy up, and he's the guy to do it. He did it in extra innings to get them to the championship.
I don't want to talk about
with that with that grand slam. Granted, it was a 55 and under.
He still sent it to the highway.
Yeah, it was. He is a clutch. He's got that clutch gene in him. So if you need a guy up to bat, he's the guy you want.
Totally. Yeah, I mean, with everything coming along with the draft now, it's going to be fun to watch Rory to see where, more focus now for him is going to get to be on hitting and see if that helps him, hurts him next year when it comes to the rankings. But I can't wait to see what his offense looks like.
It's going to be, I think, a lot of people are, putting the Archers a little bit down this year, losing Jordan, obviously. But you still have him and Tony. They can both hit.
Yeah.
Jay Rich can hit as well. They're bringing in a couple rookies. But you've seen it. This is the second Archer on this list already. And, 2 guys in the top 15 is a pretty good start to your team going into this year.
And with that, let's move on to number 9. Mr. GQ model himself, Dom Strachowski.
The Dom Bomb.
Our Dom Pop. That's my favorite picture. That's why I put it. Sorry, Dom. I'm the one that created this graphic with this picture, and it's just fun for me.
Go look it up on YouTube if you're listening.
Yeah, if you're listening right now, by all means, pull it up on YouTube because it's a good little clip there. But no, I mean, rookie of the year.
Yeah.
You know, comes in, cracks the top 10 in his first full year. You know,
Yeah.
number 9.
Phenomenal.
You know, was statistically, you know, when you just look at the stats of everything, the ace of that Thunderbird team, but that workhorse. You know, to where when Spencer came on towards the end of the season, you know, and Dom was just stayed consistent and what kind of carried them through into the playoffs. You know, early round exit, okay. You know, we're gonna get past that this year, so you know it's gonna be one of the we're going to. It's just gonna happen. Somebody's got to stay home, but you know it'd stay home. You know, from our division, but that'll be all right. But and you know my whole thought process around it with him is he's only gonna get better hitting now that he's seeing live.
Yeah,
I think he's you know kind of seeing how serious it is, and I think it's kind of like sparked an additional fire and added another gear to him. And I've kind of spent some time with him and talked with him, and I think he might be more excited to get going than I am, and that's saying something.
Yeah, Dom is a very good player. I've always liked him, you know, from the beginning, even before the draft, even when we had the wrong phone number for him. But dude, he just had a phenomenal, especially that first half of the season. I mean, we were, I think, over halfway through the first half of the season, and he was in the MVP discussion. The home runs that he had, the amount of home runs that he had, and then his pitching. His pitching was very we faced him. It was a very short game. For walks got away on our end, and that game ended rather quickly. But it was different. It was not something you really have seen before. So I think that took a lot of people by surprise. I'm interested to see how he will go in his second season as a pitcher. Probably more of the same is what I'm expecting, because it's going to be spread out among your guys' 1,000 pitchers, which is a 4, plus, which is 1,000 in Mo WIFF terms. But that's very good. You keep arms healthy. Dom's highest rank was 5. His lowest rank was 14, and his low. I actually had him the lowest. I had him at 14. I didn't have any rookies in my top 10.
I didn't have any rookies in mine last year.
Yeah,
I couldn't put a rookie in, but this year
it's very tough. But I mean, obviously, Dom is worthy of this 9 spot. You know, winning the Rookie of the Year. I would love to see what he does, especially now he got that new bat. You know, you got him a new bat. I want to see some more Dom bombs. It's obviously I think my favorite catchphrase of the league.
Oh yeah,
and it's even better when the crowd is getting into it. Even when you're on the other side.
Yeah,
of the field.
It was that game where he hit his 3 homers and stuff like that. You know, I was sitting in the stands next to Icon Lob and Skibby, and we were like, Dom, and he hit it. I mean, whole place just erupted.
I mean, I hated it.
One of my highlights of the year.
I hated it at the moment, but looking back, the video was pretty cool.
Yeah,
I can't lie. So,
well, that takes us to number 8. Ooh, Mr. Caleb Schweigert,
the swag man.
The swag man. I mean, comes in at number 8. Obviously, didn't have the year. His stats are great when you look at it in the bottom line. He didn't have the year maybe that he wanted, but you know, having the first child. Coming back and forth, you know, Alabama, I think.
There's a lot of factors there.
Just tons of factors kind of took away some things. One of the only pitcher this year to appear in 10 games, though.
Really?
Yep.
That's interesting.
Yep. The bunch of 9s, he was the only one to hit 10. I mean, even with the travel and stuff that he was there.
I know there was a lot of times he pitched both games in one night or appeared in both games in one night, you know, whether it was a safe situation and start the next game. So, I mean, I do get that, so it makes more sense.
Yeah, just appearances.
Still, I did not. I would not have guessed that, honestly, especially with the travel that he had. Down 4 spots from last year, but I think this is still a good spot. Obviously, he didn't have that dominating rookie season that he had on the mound this year, but I think he learned a lot this year, and he's going to take that into next year, and I think he'll even improve. And, I mean, he's still one of the hardest throwers in the league.
Yeah.
And
it's still it's not a day in the park stepping in the box.
It's not somebody you walk into the box saying, I can't wait to face Caleb this week. It's I gotta face Caleb this week. Dang. So A spot, you know, pretty good. His highest ranking was 7th. His lowest was 13. I had him at 11, which is no slight on Caleb. I think it was just the down year that he had. Obviously, a few things that he needs to work on at the plate. We've seen not this. I wouldn't even say the ceiling, but we've seen the bright spots.
We've scratched the surface of what he can do offensively.
We've scratched the surface of what he can do at the plate. The guy has tremendous home run potential, which in my eyes is what you want in wiffle ball.
Right.
I would take that all the time. A lot of times wiffle ball games are 1-1 or very low scoring. So give me a guy with the power of Caleb, and he's shown it in all the big moments. He's hit a home run against some of the best pitchers at UWIFs. He's done it here in our league too. So I'm excited to see where Caleb goes into this year. And I think just having 2 seasons under his belt is only going to provide better outlook for Caleb going forward.
For sure. All right, let's number 7. Mr. Cole Layton. You know what? Since he's your brother, he's your brother, I'll let you kind of start there.
A lot of people don't know that, by the way.
Oh, sorry.
Cole is my brother. We have different last names. We have different dads, but that is my brother. A lot of people do know that. But I think this is a kind of a perfect spot for Cole. Obviously, his pitching doesn't really do much.
I think if Cole was a better pitcher, I think Cole's not sitting here.
Oh, for
he's
sure.
He's sitting in the top 5 easy.
For sure. He's obviously, if you take just pure hitters, Cole's in the top 5 for sure.
Yep.
And you can argue where in the top 5, but if you give me a list,
I think top 3.
If you give me a list of guys I don't want to face, he's for me, he's probably 1 just because he's faced me so many times. And he knows that too, even though I love facing him.
Right.
But yeah, pure hitters, like you said, probably top 3 in the league, but obviously doesn't really pitch. And after the draft they had, probably won't pitch very much anymore as it is. But for a pure hitter to be 7th, pretty dang good. His highest ranking was 5. His lowest ranking was 15. And this is exactly where he was on the list last year. 15 is crazy.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
Is that your list, Q? No, I'm playing. I'm just playing.
No, Cole is
7.
Yeah, Cole. I mean, dude, you need a clutch moment with a guy to pick Cole. Look at that, the playoff game, game 2, elimination game. You're down. He hit that grand slam. With 2 outs. 2 strikes, 2 outs. That's crazy. And he does that all the time. So there's
nothing more being someone who's hit that final strike, been down the final strike, 2 outs, and hitting a homer to tie the game or take the lead. There is nothing more exhilarating.
Oh yeah.
There's nothing more exhilarating. I mean, I did it 2 years ago in the playoffs in 2023, and I mean, it's one of my favorite moments that I've had personally in the league. But yeah, when he does it, the bat flip, them big Puma, it just got something like Miguel Cabrera, just big Puma style energy for me.
Yeah, I had him at 9 on my list, which looking back kind of low, but especially when I think he's one of the best. But he's my brother, so I can put him as low as I want.
Hey,
and
you're the one that's got to have Thanksgiving with him.
Sometimes. every other year.
Oh shit!
But no, Cole is well deserved here at 7.
Oh yeah, for sure. Then at number 6, we got Mr. Andrew Nichols. Used to be the only lefty thrower that we had in the league. Crazy. Now he's one of 3 in the division.
Yeah.
So I mean, it's gonna be a lot of fun with him. The best thing that I like for Andrew is how consistent he is. He's not an easy out. You mess around, you try and run one in on him, he's gonna park it or he's gonna hit it hard. But this year, not being a captain, kind of, not saying that weighs on you or anything that way, but maybe it did on him. He's going to be able to just kind of sit back, have some fun.
I think it'll affect Andrew in a good way more than it would affect anyone else negatively, because Andrew is he's a very mellow, happy to be here. I want to come. I want to drink a couple Busch Lights.
Yep.
And I want to hit some bombs. And he can now focus on doing that.
Yep.
And when you start having fun playing this game, you tend to do better.
Ain't that the truth?
And I think a lot of us have realized that over the years. And now Andrew can take that responsibility and pass it off to you and be like, now I'm here to hit. I'm here to pitch. I'm here to drink beer. This is what Andrew's going to be. I love Andrew. Everybody knows that. Obviously he's been one of my best friends since middle school, or maybe even elementary school. We go so far back I don't even remember anymore. But yeah, it it was fun growing up with Andrew and getting him into this league and just to see him where he's gone. And now he's ranked 6 on this list. It's pretty cool. I mean, he was ranked 6 last year. Like the same spot as he was last year. Yeah, I mean, obviously. And he does so well on both sides of the ball. You know, we just talked about Cole, how good of a hitter he was. Andrew is a great hitter and a great pitcher. So, he's not as good of a hitter as Cole, but he's pretty close, and he's a really good pitcher. So it's, that's why I think he's ahead of Andrew here. His highest ranking was 2.
There we go.
His lowest ranking was he was not ranked, which is wild to me.
Shame on you.
I feel like
whoever you were that did that, shame on you.
I feel like Andrew gets a knock sometimes just because I think he's a little quiet. Unless you're Josh, he'll talk. Now that they're on the same team, it's not as fun as it used to be. But
I don't know. Now you add me to the fold, the 3 of us.
Well, yeah, but they're not talking trash against each other. That was the fun part.
We can do that. Yeah, we can make something happen.
We'll figure it out. But I had Andrew at 6. I think this is the perfect spot for him. He's truly one of the better two-way players in our league. Oh, yeah. And I don't think that's anything to question, honestly.
Oh, for sure.
But you look at this. You got 2 guys on your team on the list now, 3 total with
3
Foss.
Total.
How does that make you feel as the captain?
It's exciting. Makes me feel irrelevant at the same time as a player. But I mean, like I've stated before, I'm perfectly content. Just getting my bats in whenever I'm needed, and kind of sitting back and watching it. I'm the old man. Well, I guess Rogers on there too. Me and Rogers are the 2 old guys on the roster. But it's you look for those leaders that play on the field as much, right?
Oh yeah.
For a team, and when you have somebody like Andrew, I mean, the one thing Dom and Spencer, it's like, oh, we're keeping Andrew. That's awesome. Blah, blah, excited to continue to play with him, and I've conversations I've got to have with him. I love the energy that he brings, just kind of what you alluded to, the I'm happy to be here kind of guy. It's gonna be a lot of fun with this team because of that kind of energy, that camaraderie that's already started to grow. And I mean, I'm a chameleon. I can come in and kind of fit in with the best of them. And so I mean, I think it's gonna be a good little fit. Adding Vogler back too, and stuff that way. We're at a full roster, but it's with people, baseball practices for kids and, other events, this is why I kind of stocked the roster I did.
Yeah.
But
works out.
But I'm excited about having these 3 on this list.
Yeah.
Because it gives something to strive for. It's like,
absolutely.
damn, I want to be on the list.
Yeah. Absolutely. Overall though, the 6 through 10 here, I think this is a great 6 through 10. I mean, obviously you put these 5 guys on a team together.
Wow.
That would be crazy. That just shows the talent that we have in this league, that each one of these guys are phenomenal and deserving to be in the top 10.
We should do that. A mini tournament.
Of the top 15.
Double loss elimination, just top 15. 15 through 11, 10 through 6, 1 through 5.
Well, this one's got a good start.
Yeah.
Obviously, 1 through 5 will be pretty good as well. But I mean, I could see this having Cole and Rory as your hitters and Andrew and Dom, but like having Caleb on the mound, pretty good team.
Pretty good team. Pretty good.
I ain't gonna lie.
I don't think you get through the lineup twice seeing the same pitcher, but I mean that could be said about any of the teams we got.
That too. I mean Cole and Rory. I mean Rory might pitch, but I'm not. I'm not passing the ball off if I'm Caleb, Dom, or Andrew.
Right. Well, with that said, that takes us through our 10 through 6, and we'll be back with segment number 3.
Top 5, baby.
Top 5.
Alrighty, we're back. Now we're gonna get into the top 5.
Top 5, baby. Let's go.
Do it.
Let's go.
All right, number 5, we have a brand new Melonhead and Ryan O'Rear. Jumped up 4 spots from last year. Cam, what's your insight?
4 spots from Ryan O'Rear. What a season that Ryan O'Rear had. He was actually top 3 in MVP voting. He did finish 3rd. But a hell of a season from Ryan O'Rear. Not only, his ERA on the mound was not great.
It was like
but he found ways to win games. I think he was 3rd in the league in wins. And I think he was only 1 behind me and Sam, which that says something. But, one of the big things about Ryan O'Rear is his bat. The guy can hit just about anybody. I think the first game of the season against me, he went 3 for 3 off of me. And I went Cy Young this year. So like Ryan is one of those hitters where he is locked in and he is a competitor. This guy loves the game, loves to hit, loves to win, and it's going to be interesting to see him in a Melonheads jersey this year.
Yeah.
But a top 5 ranking for Ryan O'Rear. I actually had him, I think, 3rd on my list. 3rd on my list. I mean, finished 3rd in MVP. Like, I think he deserved 3rd on my list.
Right.
Now you're putting him in a position to even succeed even more. Next to Jordan Smith, next to Jason. In that lineup, Sam Eichenlaub, Spencer Bogad. Like, Ryan O'Rear has the potential. Now, he went alongside from hitting next to Cole to now I'm hitting alongside of Jordan as well as all of these other guys.
Right.
The Mambas did very well as a lineup hitting, but I don't think anyone can argue the fact that what this Melonheads lineup says, and look out for what Ryan O'Rear can do going forward. His highest ranking was 3, which was mine. His lowest ranking was 11, which surprised me. Like, obviously there's questions about his availability coming into this next season, but until he proves me wrong, he said that every year, and he's still there almost every game. So Ryan O'Rear is a guy who anybody would be crazy to not want on their team, and definitely a top 5 player in my opinion.
Yeah, I mean, I like him here at 5. A great player. Obviously, didn't show up a lot there. Didn't make the postseason.
Yeah, that was huge.
That was a big loss, but I don't remember where I had him personally. But I think it was definitely within this top 5 range. I might have had him at 4 or 5, but jumped up 4 spots from last year, and the Melonheads got a great player in Ryan O'Rear. But we're going to move on to 4. And another one of my teammates, Jackson Crosley, jumped up 8 spots from last year.
Highest jump of anyone on this list, and I think it's well deserved for Jackson. What a season that Jackson had. Not only during the regular season, but especially in the postseason, and especially in that championship. He was the championship MVP.
Mm-hmm.
Jackson was on fire. He was hitting everybody all season, hitting a lot of home runs. He was up there, with Sam in some of those categories of home runs and RBIs. And then obviously his pitching. His pitching has been lights out for the past couple seasons. I'm sure Cole wished he had that a couple years ago when Jackson wasn't throwing very hard or not showing up. But, now you partner him with Sam and, all of his buddies, and gets him there a little bit more. And, something happened, 2.5 years ago where Jackson found new life in his arm, and easily a top 5 player in the league right now. He was his highest ranking was 2. His lowest ranking was 10, which surprised me. I had him at 5. I love Jackson. I think he's one of my favorite people to play with, especially in national tournaments. I've kind of created a really good bond with Jackson, being number 1 and 2 pitchers, 1A, 1B pitchers in the NWA tournament the past couple of years. But Jackson is phenomenal, and like I said, what he did with the bat this year, I think, was better than what most people thought he could do. Especially when we first started in MO WIFF, and Jackson was streaky, here and there hitter, and now he's like, oh, okay, now we gotta actually pay attention every time against Jackson. But well deserved here at number 4.
Yeah, I mean, my teammate, again, I'm not going to put a lot, but one of the most naturally just gifted wiffle players I think I've ever been around.
Yeah, he's very nonchalant about it.
I know.
Doesn't care what ball's in the bucket. He'll pick it up and throw it, and he'll do exactly what he wants it to do.
One of the only people in the country I can think that can throw a good, clean ball screwball.
Yeah, absolutely. Everybody still questions how he does it. I kind of figured it out. I can't even do it as good as he can. Like, not even half as good as he can. But it did work a little bit at times.
It's so, like, his arm. It's so wonky. And then, like, he showed me how to do it. And it's like, I think he told me it leaves, like, blisters on his hands.
I'm sure it does. He does have, like, one of my favorite pitches in MO WIFF too is his butterfly ball.
The butterfly ball.
And he doesn't throw it enough. Like, Jackson, please. I know you're probably not
Never
listening.
gonna see this.
I know
ever.
you're probably not, but somebody clip this for Jack and send it to him.
He'll never see it either.
Throw that more, please, because it's so much fun.
Yeah, but moving on to the number 3 player, another new Melonhead, Jordan Smith, dropped 2 spots from last year.
Yeah, he was number 1 last year. He was Triple Crown last year. I don't think it was even a question last year of him being number 1. But Jordan moved down to number 3 this year. Obviously, a little bit of a down year from the years past, but still a very good season.
Mm-hmm.
Still a guy, you don't want to face. Was it this year that he had the long hit streak? Or was that the year before?
It was last year.
It was last year.
This year.
But he's still, every week he's a threat to hit the ball, whether it's over the fence or not. Like, he is a guy that can easily get the job done at the plate. And then, obviously, on the mound as well. I think that's another reason why he dipped down here is he spent a little bit less time on the mound. He still had a very good season. Obviously, that last game against the season when he was trying to work on some clean ball stuff kind of ruined his stats a little bit. But still a very good season from Jordan. Still one of the best players.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, now moving teams and getting to play alongside of a couple new guys. We'll see how that affects him. Still a good lineup. Went from a very good lineup to a very good lineup. So I don't think you're going to see much, regression or improvement from Jordan. I think, he'll still be Jordan Smith, which is a guy that any of us would want on his team. Definitely one of the best players in the league and a top 3 lock, in my opinion. I think I had him. Well, I lied. I had him at 4 because of Ryan O'Rear's jump last year.
Yeah.
So, but a top 5 lock for sure in Jordan. I don't think there's any question.
Yeah, Jordan, probably one of my favorite players to watch in the league. Just from the way he throws, from how clean he swings, and the ability to put a wiffle ball pretty much wherever. He can hit at all facets. He can kill you with singles, doubles, triples, and the home run ball, and he'll get on the mound and he'll just dot you up with some disgusting movement. I think 3 is pretty well deserved for Jordan because, our next 2 players are major award winners, and we'll get to that right now. Our number 2 player, yourself, Cam Smith, the Cy Wiffle Award winner again. Yeah. Well, this is the
putting in the noise that you didn't have to.
Yeah. This is Bombers Cam Smith, not Commissioner. This is the Bombers head Cam Smith. Obviously you can toot your own horn if you want, but I'll go first just because it's yourself.
Ahead. Please go ahead.
Yes.
Please.
You were the Cy Wiffle Award winner. You led the league in strikeouts. Yeah.
Triple Crown on the pitching side.
Yes, Triple Crown on the pitching side. You're the most dominant pitchers in the league, the history of the league. It's even from the beginning to now, the fact that you've still been able to keep this top 2, top 1, top 3, whatever you want to put it. We'll say top 3 kind of status for going into 5 years now.
Yeah.
5 years in wiffle ball is a long time.
It is.
I'm going on year 4, mind you. This is going to be my 4th year in wiffle ball. It doesn't even feel that long. But, well deserved. Didn't you finish 2nd in MVP voting again for the 4th year in a row?
Every year that Mo WIFF has been in the league. If you didn't bring it up, I was going to. Because Brian said it earlier, I think about Andrew. But it's Mr. Consistency. That's where I'm at. I'm consistently ranked number 2. I'm consistently 2nd place in MVP voting every year. It is frustrating, but at the same time, that just, in my eyes shows I am right there every year. I'm a great player. I don't think can be argued.
No.
Would I like to be number 1 at one point? Yes. Did I rank myself number 1? Yes. Because it's my list. I will be honest, but I have the mindset of if I am the best player in my own eyes, and I feel like I have to be in order. If I didn't see myself as number 1, then I wouldn't be in the top 5 every year. I wouldn't be 2nd place every year. And this is your own personal list, so get mad at me if you want, but whatever. I think the lowest ranking I had was 6. The highest rank I had was 1. It was myself was the only one. But there was I think 5 or 6 different people to get number 1 votes, if there's 5 or 6 other people getting number 1 votes, I feel like I definitely should have been one of them because some of them are ranked lower on the list than I am.
Right.
So, I don't feel bad about it, but at the same time, I'm just looking forward to continuing. As small of bulletin board material as it is, I'm still ranked second. I want to be number 1. That's always been the goal, and maybe one year I'll get there.
Yeah, you never know. This year might be the year. But we'll move on to the number 1 player right now. It is my teammate, everyone's favorite wiffle ball player, Sam Skibby. Moved up 2 spots from last year, Triple Crown winner. Cam, what's the insight?
Out of anyone on this list, I think easily he got the most number 1 votes, but his lowest vote was actually 3. That's the lowest he went on anyone's list was 3. I think the next lowest that anyone had was 6. So really there was no question of who was number 1 on this list. It's Sam Skibby. He is a Triple Crown winner at the plate, tied for wins in pitching, leads the history of MO WIFF and saves, and now with the championship under his belt, I don't think there's any question that Sam should be the number 1 on this list, and I knew that going in. That's also why I can put myself number 1 on the list. But he's earned this. He's deserved it. Last year he had a phenomenal year. Even if you take away a couple of the cake home runs that he got from certain people, he still had an MVP type season, and I don't really think that would have mattered. He's just he's one guy. Every time he steps on a plate, he's a threat to get the mojo on the board and in the win column. So not a whole lot to say about Sam besides he is one of the best.
Yeah, I mean, again, my teammate, face of the franchise. What can you say? I love playing with Sam Skibby. It's an absolute honor to play side by side with, my opinion, the greatest Mo Wiffian of all time, and probably the greatest player to come out of the state of Missouri.
That hurts. That hurts because
I mean, hey,
you talk about greatest. Sam still only has 1 championship.
Listen,
and I have 2. Sam does not have a championship MVP. I have 2. I'm gonna hold that over your head as long as I can. Until it changes. I'm gonna keep going with.
Yeah, you can. But again, championships are a team accomplishment.
They are.
I mean,
that's why I said
look at year 2. Paul Pugh sent you to the second round.
Absolutely did. Absolutely did. Well, I was just saying though, MVP.
He does have 2. He's rated number 1. But again, I mean, hey, it's a conversation to be had. In my opinion,
you can have the conversation. You can absolutely have the conversation.
In my personal opinion, he's the greatest Mo Wiffian of all time. But that is the Mo Wiff top 15 list. And we'll be right back with something special with Cam and my co-host Brian Hunter.
All right, so normally we go through only 3 segments on a 3 Up, 3 Down podcast, but on a night like tonight, or day like today, we want to make sure we slow down and kind of dig a little deeper, right? So, we talked earlier about honorable mentions and stuff. One thing that me and the 3 Up, 3 Down crew here wanted to do, we wanted to make our own top 15 list, right? So we combined our 3 lists, averaged it out from who we had, and kind of wanted to get it out there to you guys and kind of go over it. But before we go over that, we'll make sure you smash that like and subscribe button. That way, you can get up to date to all of our videos and everything when they drop. The merch store is fully up and running and operational right now.
Yeah,
as our model here is showing off one of the new hoodies and
check
the new
it out
hat
on YouTube.
I know Q's worn the hat before. We have our own line of merch now for the 3 Up, 3 Down podcast.
Yeah, I just spent hours and hours and hours of manual labor putting this merch store together. You guys have your own line. Each team now has their own line. If you check out our website and go to the merch tab, it's going to bring you right to our merch store. And each team has their own collection.
Yeah.
Is actually what it's called. So Not
I
only
like that. I did like that.
Yeah,
I like
not
you
only-
can see the teams and everything.
yeah, not only do we have league merch, we have podcast merch, we have team merch, season 5 merch too. I know Q already got I think you got a shirt. Yeah, so I'm excited to see those come out, throughout the season too. But more will be added eventually. But for now, at least every team has a shirt, a hoodie, a hat, and a jacket, and our league merch is obviously all still there too. So I'm excited for that.
Got you. All right. And with that, let's get into our 3 up, 3 down top 10. So obviously we've talked as we've gone through it. We've talked about the people that have been ranked through our regular top 10, our official league top 10. Who's been ranked, who's dropped, who's risen, and everything. That's something we're going to keep up with, right?
Yeah,
every year, that way we
absolutely.
kind of have a run, because when you got the people like, Gus, Cole, Nichols, and then you yourself were a non-mover, but staying that consistency, it's showing that consistent, shows where we've come, where we've gone, and year in, year out. I'm looking forward to seeing what next year's kind of look like.
Fun.
With the draft we just had was just phenomenal with players and talent. It's going to be hard to crack this list.
We said that last year.
Yeah, we did.
And this year's list was
1,
super
2,
hard.
3, 4 people crack it.
Yeah,
So
it was super hard to put this list together, and next year's gonna be impossible. Maybe I don't know. Maybe we do a top 20, but
We'll
maybe
see.
not.
We'll see.
I like the top 15. Keep it.
If every team's loaded at 8 by the end of the year,
Yeah,
I say maybe we go top 20.
We'll talk.
We can talk about that later.
Yeah.
But to the right, and I'll post these graphics will be posted as well. I know it's not the easiest thing to see right now. Maybe I'll throw it up on screen here, so that way we can see it a little bit visual for our people watching on YouTube and on Spotify. But when you look at the list, the consistency of our list, we'll start at 15. James Dutton gets a nod. Fell right off the kind of the cusp from where he was. He falls up to 15 on our list. Gus falls from 11 down to 14. I'll speak to how I voted towards it. I stuck a little bit more towards the people that were there for, as many weeks as possible.
Yeah, exactly.
Not saying that Gus doesn't deserve it, because let's say Gus there's 17 weeks, top 5.
Top 5.
Yeah.
Easy.
Connor, top 5.
Yeah.
Right? And it's kind of that plays to it. Justin Hall gets some love from us, kind of not being ranked last year, kind of moving into it. That's awesome to really see. Jason, we talked about Worstenholm, and everything, and where he kind of landed, still on our list. He didn't even rank himself. I can attest to that. Jason did not rank himself, which I can applaud, but at the same time, he
deserved it.
He deserved it. That's why me and Q, he was on me and Q's list, so I believe he deserved it. Caleb, coming in at number 11 again. When the minute he starts hitting, I think it's going to be lights out there. Yeah. Dom sitting at 10, the rookie on the list. Awesome to see. He's definitely gotten his flowers, this offseason from what he's been able to accomplish and what he's done. So I'm happy to continue to see him kind of grow. Colin at 9. I think there's nothing much more we can say to that. In my opinion, I mean, Colin took the purge, put it on his back on those weeks that Caleb wasn't there, and I mean, he supported him. And I mean, I think that's going to continue to grow his confidence, like you talked about the hitting and everything. Cole's Cole. Like I said earlier, there's nothing you can do about it. Nothing you can do about it. Unfortunately, when the first 7 people ahead of you are all stud pitchers,
two-way players.
Yeah, two-way players, and I mean, so that goes hand in hand. And I got a slide coming up here too that adds hitting to this element a little bit more than pitching, just to kind of equal out. But we'll talk about that here in a second. Rory at 7, another two-way player with the experience going across all realms. Nichols, two-way player, lefty. Gonna have some competition now with Blake and Brody coming in the league, being those two-way lefty players. But Nichols has got that experience in our league already. And then the top 5 is the exact same. It just maybe a little bit different order. So I mean, I don't call you guys interchangeable because you guys all are different in your own aspect. Yeah. But I mean, cases could be made that everybody could be 1 up, 1 down.
You can argue that, absolutely. You guys had 3 on your whole list here, just from the podcast crew, compared to our official top 15 list, 3 positions are exactly the same, and Andrew at 6, O'Rear at 5, and Sam at 1.
Yeah,
pretty good. I mean, it's tough. I mean, there was a lot of lists that were submitted, so there's a lot of variety, a lot of changes, but overall, pretty close list there.
Yeah. Just to kind of bring up the names, because we don't need to talk. It could take too much time talking more about them, because they've all gotten their flowers today. But O'Rear, Jordan, yourself, Jackson Crosley, and Sam Skibby. I mean, when you look at it, it's kind of funny that all 3 of us had everybody in different orders. Kind of thing, but kind of average it out, the way we did, divide by 3, and then, there you go. But we all kind of had agreed that Skibby was that number 1.
Yeah.
So, I mean, when you win the triple crown and lead in like 15 statistical categories, that's definitely kind of that heads up.
Makes sense.
So before we go to the next slide, I kind of want to explain it. So I wanted to see what it looks like from a statistical only standpoint. We're not talking eye test. We're not talking, how many weeks they could potentially be there. I mean, yes, that games played does go into effect when it comes to hitting, because, everybody pretty much hits in the league. So I use a baseline of playing a minimum of 10 games, right, for the offensive side. For the pitching side, you need to have at least 2 games pitched in. And the reason why I pitch a minimum of 2 games is because when you're using the strikeouts per 9, the walk per 9 as kind of stats that you're looking after, it plays into it, and it gave it a true balance of an idea of kind of what we were going to see as a league from a statistical standpoint.
Do you do strikeouts per 9?
Yeah. Well, not 9, whatever I'm using a website.
The
website is. It says strikeouts per X.
Okay.
So I don't know if that 9.
I think we did change it to account to our league, and
oh wow.
I think it is, or maybe it's not, because I think some are 27.
Yeah, I don't know, honestly.
I don't know.
We'd have to look at it.
Oh well.
But let's go ahead and flip that next slide up. So this is the best thing about it. This list completely changes, from the eye test level. All right. Now, when you look at the first 5, you pretty much have, the first 5, 4 of the first 5 on this list copied over. But then you have, O'Rear sitting there back, O'Rear, instead of sitting at 5 on our list, he drops down 3 slots to number 8. What I love about it is somebody like, we already had Tony on, we know we had Tony on the list. Nick Bone enters the list. Josh Richardson enters the list. I mean, those are 2 people that are not on the list together, to where they're offensively in a very pitcher-friendly league, or driven league, where they kind of got to show a little bit of love there. And when we're looking at the statistic part, I mean, it even caught me off guard of seeing Jay Rich's name on there. Yeah. Like when I saw it, I texted Rory and I was like, holy hell, Jay Rich had a hell of a year. Yeah. Looking through the stats of it. And I mean, it was just one of those things, and I was just kind of learning that fun piece to it. So what this does is kind of gives us an idea. And I mean, obviously, the algorithm can be messed with to kind of made a little bit better, and stuff this way. I just wanted to see it. But it was interesting to me to see, out of the 15, 13 of the 15 are on the list. Yeah. Right now you have somebody like Spencer Foss that, Spencer fell off. And then Connor falls off the list as well.
And Gus.
So who's the third that followed up? Oh, Jason. Sorry. Jason also on this list comparison. But
Caleb fell off of the regular top 15 as well.
Did he? Yep.
Yeah, he's not on the shredder list.
Yeah, he isn't. Well, I mean, when the offense is taken at 1.5 times, I mean, some of those guys that are really POs, that
makes it a lot harder.
It changes things, right? I mean, it like dropped Cole from his 7 slot down 2 slots alone. But I mean, even if you look at the statistics, he wasn't that bad on the mound either. Serviceable.
Correct. Yeah.
Serviceable is the word that I'm choosing to use.
I think Cole would use that word.
Yeah. I think that's what I said too. And when I thought about it, I was like, I think Cole would use that word too.
He knows his worth on the mound.
Right. But that gunslinger just whip of the wrist, dude, I tell you what, it's fun to see. But it's just kind of neat to see how it all kind of worked out. adds a couple kings, to the list and everything here. It just shows where we got two kings, 3 archers, 3 melon heads. Well, we got 1 mamba on there. I mean, granted, we could say 2 mambas because all rear played on the mambas last year, and this is what it's going off of. Got 1 bomber and yourself, but then everybody's got a guy on their team that is worthy of being in a top. We talk about top 20 consideration, top 20 consideration for our official league
for sure. Yeah, it's great. I mean, I love seeing all the teams represented.
Yeah.
Obviously, some are a little more. It's tough with only 15 spots with how many people in the league. And, I mean, if you want to go into how many each team actually had on our list, I mean, that's obviously the Kings didn't have anyone crack this top 15 list this year. Correct. Right. They were on the purge. Hall was right there. I mean, Hall, I think, just missed. I think next to Jason, I think he was like the next one off. So he would have came in at 17. But, Kings had 0. The Mambas, honestly, only had 1 at Cole. The Bombers only had 1 at me. Purge had 2. Melon Heads had 2. Archers had 2. And then you look at, the 2 top teams here. You have the Thunderbirds and yourself with 3 guys on the list. And you look up and down that list, and you see a lot of purple and green there in the Mojo. 4 Mojo cracked that top 15 list. Let's go, baby! But pretty good overall about, almost everyone getting a teammate on the list here.
So, I mean, the competitive balance is there. We've talked about it. You guys have seen, been there, played there, or watched our videos in some facet. The talent level which we have.
It's insane.
It's
off the charts.
It's only going to get better.
It already has. It already has. This year, the product this year is going to be unlike anything we've had before. I mean, I think every game is going to be. There's no more of those. Hopefully, obviously injuries can happen and things can happen, but hopefully the days that we've seen, sorry Jason, but the Melonheads last year, hopefully those days are gone, and we're gonna have a lot more competitive games from night 1 to night 17, game 4. Like it's gonna be crazy. So I'm really, really looking forward to it.
Gotcha. So before we sign off here, a couple weeks, our season starting March 27th, right?
27th. Yep.
So, I mean, we're going to have you on again in a couple weeks.
Yeah.
Have our Bombers preview.
I'm going to take this off, this hat, this hoodie off. And
we're just going to shoot it now? Shoot it now. We're going to shoot it live.
No,
we're going live. Surprise.
My wife would kill me.
No.
But no, you won't have the commissioner on here.
Oh, I want full that. Cameron
It's
Smith.
It's gonna be. I'll put my Bombers hat on. I'll bring my Bombers hoodie, and I will be the Bombers captain, and I'll be ready to talk Bombers Wiffs for sure.
There we go. And that episode, we're also gonna do your State of the Union address.
And I'll put this back on.
Yeah, we'll put that back on in a separate segment.
I'll switch personalities, and we'll talk about the league and how excited I am because there's been a lot of work, not only by myself, but from our whole crew, getting ready for the season, and it's coming up quick. Jerseys are ordered.
God, I can't wait for them to come in.
Yeah, I know. I got a couple teams, adding a couple new jerseys. So
new
those
players?
will be fun.
New players or new jerseys?
New jerseys.
Oh, gotcha.
We got, working on 2 right now for 2 different teams. We're waiting for final revisions.
I thought they were all supposed to be ready to go by draft.
They have them.
I'm just kidding. You trouble.
They're these are additional, so these are they'll be third options.
You want to leak it out and let us know what teams are getting new threads?
Those are for those teams. That's not
my
place. That's not
my
place.
That's fair. I can appreciate that.
But there are 2. Yes. There are 2 of them.
I'm somebody who asked for the same thing.
But yeah, no, it's a lot of work being put into season 5, and man, I can't wait till March 27th.
Yeah, awesome. Well, appreciate you coming on, man.
Absolutely, man. Thanks for having me. No, hold on. Time out. Just wanted to let you guys know you're doing a hell of a job. It's been fun listening and watching a little bit. I think I've watched one of the episodes on YouTube, but I listen while I'm at work, and it's fun. I'm glad that you guys are taking what me and Adam and then me and Rory did for so long and having the time and the effort that we just didn't have time for to really make this a better product overall and really put all the work that you guys do into it. So thank you both, and I really love the direction that we're going in here, and I'm glad it's in good hands.
Gotcha. Well, we appreciate it. We appreciate it, man. And
Absolutely.
with that said, we'll be coming back next week with a new episode. Until then, y'all take care.
Peace out from Ball Grind, baby. Let's go.